Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is KMG, and in today's tutorial I'll be learning how to make this milkmaid summer dress. So this video has been divided into two sections so I don't make the video that lengthy. So if you're watching this for the first time, this is the first video, and the second one will actually be linked in this video description, so you can just go there. I've already provided it with the link to watch the part 2 of this video. So thank you as you keep watching. So here are the materials needed for this tutorial: my 3 yards of non-stretchy fabric, my scissors, chalk, tape and ruler. And next I went ahead to cut out what I'll be needing for this tutorial. And here's my chest line, my bust line, my under bust, my half length, and I also added 1 inch for my joining allowance. At the shoulder I came down by 0.75 inches, and then the neck I went in by 3.5 for the width. And then for my armhole, this is the front, I came in by 0.5 inch, and I'll draw my curve line to give my armhole. Then for your chest line, how you can get your chest line, you come up by 2 inches from your bust point. If you don't know how to do all those other calculations for it, this is just the easiest method. So remember that this is actually a milkmaid dress, and it's more or less like looking like an off-shoulder dress. So what I'm going to basically do is to determine where my neck is going to begin from. So I'm just going to place my tape this way, and I want my neck to start from 7. You can make yours to go up if you want, you can make yours to come down if you want. So I'm just going to connect that using my ruler, and then what I'm going to basically do is to extend this shoulder line, which is 16 divided by 2. I had 8, so I'm going to extend it to my bust line. Just note that this line I'm extending is not my bust measurement, it's actually my shoulder line, because I would want to be drafting out the curve where the bust is, where you will see those splitted parts. So this is just me using a dotted line to actually represent that extension of my shoulder line, so it doesn't get confused. So from this point I'm going to draft out a curved line to meet out my under bust line, and then next I'll go ahead to do is to insert my dart. I'm going to be inserting my dart from my under bust line. I'm not going to go up than that under bust line, because here I'm going to be pleating it. So from the under bust line, I'm going to measure my nipple to nipple measurement, which is actually 7 divided by 2 plus 0.5 inches, making 4 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there, and I'm going to go ahead to replicate that measurement over down to my half length. So I'm going to use my ruler to connect it, just as you see me doing this video. Then from this very point at my waistline, I'm going to go in by 0.5 inches at both sides, which I'm just going to mark there, and I'll simply go ahead to connect it to that very up part there. So after doing that, now next I'm going to go ahead to do is to insert my body circumference, which is starting from my bust divided by 4. I'll mark that there and add my 2 inch allowance. Then I will go ahead and replicate this measurement over at my chest line, just as you see me doing this video. So next I'll go over is my waist divided by 4. Whatever I have, I'm going to mark that there, plus my 2 inch allowance for sewing, and then this dart intake, which I'll be getting here, making a 3 inches allowance, which I'm just going to add there back. So I will simply go ahead right away and then connect these lines together using my ruler, just as you see me doing this video. So next I'll go over to do is to cut out what I'll be needing for this tutorial. So you just have to carefully do that, and after cutting it, this is basically what we're going to have. As you can see, I've gone ahead to split out this 2 because that's how the front is going to be like, but this part here is intact. So I'll simply go ahead and cut 2 of this, which is the lining and the main fabric, and then I'll go over and cut just a single of this. But I'm going to be before cutting the material, I'm going to use the splash and tear method. That is why I'm simply giving an even measurement, which is actually 2 inches. So I'm going to be marking this 2 inches now to demarcate or divide this particular bust region into sections where I'm going to be numbering them. I just hope I explain it well. So for the splash and spread method, you need to measure out this evenly, which I'm marking 2 inches, just like I said earlier. So I'm just marking that here into different sections. So here I'm going to be dividing this into 4 sections, which is actually 2, 2, 2, making it 1, 2 and 3, 4 sections. And this is the last one I'm marking. So I'll go ahead and label them 1, 2, 3 and 4 section. So I'm just going to slash them opened. And after doing that, I'll basically go over and get another paper just like this, and I'll begin to place this slashed paper on the new paper ensuring to give an equal distance between each of them. So I'm actually using my tape just to help me secure them so it doesn't shift. So you can see I'm measuring an equal distance between the two of them, which is 2 You can decide to make it bigger than 2 just to make sure that your pleats are actually big and full depending on what you have in terms of material. So this is just me measuring and ensuring that the distances between each of them are what equal, and equally using my tape to actually glue them down. So after doing that and ensuring that they are all equal at every part, I will go ahead and be cutting out what I'm going to be needing for this video. So after cutting through, this is basically what you are going to have. Then I'm going to go over to cut my back now. So as you can see, I've already gone ahead to draw after the lines I'll be needing, which is my chest line, bust line, and half length. And I also went in by 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance. So next I also went ahead to do is to determine my neckline, just the way I did it at the front, where I came down by 7 inches, since it's more or less like an off shoulder. So I'm just going to connect that 7 inches line now, just as I'm doing this video. So next I'm going to go over to do is to determine my dart intake, just the way I did in front, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus 0.5 inch, and I marked it down throughout the length, and I'm just going to connect it together just as you see me doing this video. So I'm just going to go in by 0.5 inches at both sides to determine my dart intake, and I'll go ahead and connect it to that point. So after doing that, now basically next I'll do is to determine my bust point divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Then I will simply go ahead to replicate that measurement up at my chest line. Remember to always end your measurement at that zipper point. Don't extend it after the zipper point allowance. So I'll go ahead now and determine my waistline, which is my waist divided by 4 plus 2 inch for my sewing allowance, and then 1 inch for my sewing intake, making it 3 inches, which I just added there. Then I'll go ahead and connect those points together. So after connecting that point, now I'm going to determine my armhole, and as you can see, I've already come down by 0.75 inches at my shoulder line. Then from that point there, which is where I marked that slanted line, to my chest line, I actually measured it and got the midpoint, which is actually 3.8, and I marked that there. Remember that at the front we came in by 0.5 half inch just to give it that curvy nature, but in this case for the back we're not going to do that. Rather, we're going to just draw our normal curve for our armhole just the way we know it. So this is just me drafting that line, and this is basically what we're going to have. So remember that this is our neckline, so I'll go ahead and just extend it to the armhole. So this is just like a basic body that you all know. So what I'm simply going to do right away is that, remember that this is my neckline is at 7 inches, and I don't want my neck to be that straight. I want to just maybe give it a slanted design. So I'm going to make my neckline to be at 8. So there I'm going to mark it, and I'll go ahead now and then take my ruler to connect it to these other points in a slanted line, just the way you see me doing this video. So this is just me marking the 2 points together to create my slant line for my neck to look all designed. So I'll just go ahead and blend this straight into the zipper allowance. So I'll go ahead and cancel our first neckline because that's not what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using the slanted one. So I'll go ahead and be cutting out what I'll be needing for this tutorial, just as you see me do in this video. So you carefully have to do that. And after cutting, this is basically what you are going to have for your dress. So next I'll do is to use this to cut out the material I'll be using for this tutorial. So this is me. I've basically gone ahead to cut out the all parts of the material, equally the base part and as well the strap. So what I'm going to what I did actually was to put an allowance of 1.5 inch allowance for the up for my folding, where my strap we actually was access inside after I have folded. And I equally went ahead to add half inch allowance at the base, which I'm going to join together to these other points. As you can see, I've equally added half inches at this other side, so that which is my allowance for sewing, and I will join inside this part. And then for my middle front, I added 1 inch for my folding allowance. And then for the strap of this dress, I used the width of 2 inches, and the length is as long as possible, but I used 2 inches for the width, which I'm just going to fold like this, and I will sew. After sewing, I'm going to turn it out to bring it back to the front and insert to this area. After folding the up part and the other middle front part, I'll go ahead and either pleat this, or you can as well run gathers, but for me I will prefer to run a gathers, which I can be adjusting to fit into this place. So I need to run these gathers or do my pleating that will give me exactly the same shape back, and I will go ahead to insert it into the other base of the front for sewing. So after that, I equally went ahead to cut out the lining and the main material for my back, and I'll equally go ahead to insert my darts for my back. Then let us go to the machine and sew this together. So this is basically it. As you can see, I've gone ahead to join the back and the lining, and equally put my dart for both of them, and then equally went ahead to actually do the dart for the base front of the dress. Then for the bust part of this dress, I went ahead to run a gathers on this part where I can be adjusting in order to fit back into this part. Just as you can see, to get the exact shape, I equally ensured that I left my ½ inch allowance for the sides, which I'm going to be joining to the base, and I equally went ahead to leave the front, which is the middle part, 1 extra inches, which will more or less look like an overlap, just the way I explained earlier. So next I'm going to be doing is to be inserting my strap just the way I did for this one, and to achieve that I'm going to use my safety pin. I'm just going to lock it into this part here, and after doing that I'm just going to put it from this middle part where I've already stitched down, and this is the armpit region, and this is the front part. So I'm going to insert it from this front part, and I will carefully do that so that I can bring it out to the other side of the dress. So after bringing it out, as you can see in this video, I'm going to pin it down in order to secure it, and I will take it over to the machine now and stitch it just the way I did for this first part. So after stitching it down, this is basically what it looks like, as you can see. So this is just me cutting out the threads that are left out there, and this is basically what it looks for the front. So I'll go ahead and get the front base of this dress. So I will simply join it together, but while joining, ensure that you note the middle parts just as I explained earlier, and this is the wrong part actually, but this is the right part we'll be using. So what I will simply do now is to get this bust area and begin to insert first from the armpit region. So this is just me placing it carefully, and I'm just going to use my pin to secure it down. And while doing that, you will be adjusting it properly. That is why I decided to use gathers, so that I can be adjusting in order to reach that middle point. So while you get to the middle point, remember I left 1 inch allowance, which I'm going to exceed that middle point by 1 inch in order to achieve something like an overlap, right? So this is just me now. From that middle point that is correct, I'm going to note the 1 extra inches. So remember, this is the right middle point. So from that point, I extended it by 1 inch, in which I'm going to adjust my bust area in order to reach that new marked 1 inch there, so that this dress can look more or less like an overlap. So I'll use my pin now to secure it down, and I'll go ahead to stitch. So next I'll go ahead to do is to actually do the same thing for the other part of the dress. So this is just me ensuring that the middles are really placed well, and I will equally go ahead and flap it over so that I can stitch it down. So this is me noting the middle point of this down base, just I explained earlier. So instead of stitching from that middle point, which we are not going to, rather we're going to extend it by 1 inch into the other side from that middle point, just I explained for the other side. But this time around, we're going to mark 1 inch into the other part, encroaching to the other area, right, so that it more or less look like an overlap. So after marking that, I begin to place my other bust side from that point using my pin to secure it down, and I will continue to adjust it throughout the other base of this dress so it can fit in till it reach the armpit region, right? So I will just carefully do that so that everything is evenly distributed. So after you have successfully pinned it down, you're expected to have something like this, and then next you take it over to the machine and sew. And this is basically what it's going to look like after sewing. So next I'll take the other base of the dress, which will serve as the lining, so that I can, you know, use it to cover these rough edges as you see me doing this video. So this is me ensuring that I note the middle part of the lining and as well the middle part of the main dress, which I will hold it down together. So I will just use my pin now to secure it down, and I'll do that throughout the area of this part and take it to the machine to sew. So after sewing it now, this is basically what we're going to have. This is the front area, this is what it looks like, and this is the inside. As you can see, it's coming out so neat and what's nice. You can see if I open up, you will see the rough part which has been covered by the lining. And I've already gone ahead to cut out the back and equally put the dart. So next I'm supposed to be doing right away is to actually cut the down area of this dress. But in order not to make this video too long, I have already divided the video into two parts, which I have provided the link in the description below of this particular video. So go there, click it so you can watch the next, which is a part 2 of this video. Thank you as you keep watching.